Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer. Thanks to Up to You for this one. Nick has a Transmogrifying Licid on his Grizzly Bears. And hey, come back! I promise I checked the star rating on this one. Anyway, Amy plays a Feed the Swarm against the Licid. Nick responds by paying 1 to make the Transmogrifying Licid back into a creature. Does Feed the Swarm still destroy it? So, to answer this, let's recall that the game checks to see if a target of a spell is legal at 2 specific times: when the spell is being cast and when it starts to resolve. It doesn't matter what happens in between as long as the target is still legal at both those times. So if you were going to feed the swarm on some creature an opponent controlled and that opponent somehow gave control of that creature to you until end of turn, well, that would save the creature. Feed the swarm targets a creature or enchantment that an opponent controls, not an enchantment an opponent controls or a creature. Yes, I understand that technically there's no grammatical way to tell which of these is the intended interpretation. No, it doesn't say anywhere in the rules that I'm correct, but that is how it works. Magic has been pretty consistent in this interpretation, and there's ample evidence in Gatherer rulings, such as on the ones on Kaya's Ghost form. So you can effectively counter a Feed the Swarm with Domineering Will, but if the Feed the Swarm player manages to donate the targeted permanent to an opponent before Feed the Swarm resolves, then its target will be destroyed as normal, because the target was legal as Feed the Swarm was cast, and it will still be legal when Feed the Swarm resolves. It doesn't matter that there was a time in between there where it was not legal. In the same way, in our example from the original problem statement, the target for Feed the Swarm was legal when it was cast, and it's also going to be legal when Feed the Swarm wants to resolve. Both times, Transmogrifying Licid is a creature or enchantment an opponent controls. The fact that it was a creature at one time and an enchantment at the other time makes no difference at all. And so the Feed the Swarm will resolve entirely normally. Now, let's say that we have the same scenario, except Amy wants to destroy that Transmogrifying Licid with a Return to Nature instead of Feed the Swarm. And here, we're going to have a little bit of a problem. And that's because, like targets, you have to choose what mode you're using as part of the process of casting a spell. And also like targets, you can't change your mind if something goes wrong in between the time when the spell is cast and when it wants to resolve. When Return to Nature was cast, Amy would have had to choose the Destroy Target Enchantment mode. If the target is no longer an enchantment by the time that second check for legality comes around, Back to Nature won't be able to resolve, and it'll be removed from the stack with no effect. Let's close out with a challenge question to test your understanding. Amy plays a Cloth's Will against Nick's Ornithopter. Can he save it with a Dress Down? What about with a Nurok Transmuter? And the answer is, it depends. If you were going to deal 2 damage to all creatures with flying, then the Dress Down would remove that ability from Ornithopter so it wouldn't be taking damage anymore. Or if you were going to destroy target artifact, Nurok Transmuter could make the Ornithopter not be an artifact and thus not be a legal target. Unfortunately, neither of these would be any use if the Cloth's Will had been cast for the wrong mode. Even more unfortunately, in my experience, it's somewhat unlikely that Amy would have explicitly said which mode she was choosing, particularly if it didn't make a difference. A judge would have to investigate what communication had taken place and likely make a judgment call in order to resolve such a case if it were to come up in a real game. Now finally, we'll take a look at this Neurotic Transmuter, which is the most unfortunate of all. It can't save Ornithopter from either mode. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.